The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
And we are recording. Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I want to thank you all for attending today's webinar on groundwater monitoring. I know some of you are already using HOBO data loggers, whether it be for groundwater monitoring or other water quality or environmental applications, but this particular presentation will be focused on groundwater monitoring as we do see more and more of a need for this. Just a few things as we start the webinar. This is being recorded, so if for some reason you need to drop off early or you just want to be able to access it again at your convenience, you can do so. A link will be emailed out within a day or two after the webinar, and if you need it sooner, you can always contact me directly, and my details will be available at the end of the presentation. There will be a section in the webinar console for Q&A, so you can type your questions or comments over there. We will hopefully have time at the end to address questions if we don't get to them during the webinar. Any questions which are posed or may have even been proposed before the webinar that are not answered during this hour for the session will be followed up on after the session. So you no need to fret. We will definitely make sure that we get you the answers that you need. Just a little bit about Onset, the company, for those of you who may be new to Onset and HOBO data loggers. We have been in business developing and manufacturing data loggers since 1981. We've been Onset Inc. since 1981. HOBO is definitely a tried and true name in the industry of data loggers. We're recognized as a global leader in environmental monitoring solutions. Our loggers are used across the globe, not only our individual data loggers, but our weather stations as well. And we do have our main office in Bourne, Massachusetts, with regional offices throughout the US and globally as well. We are ISO certified, which means that, which is related to our lean process for manufacturing that we've implemented in the last couple of years. Just want to start off with a quick poll question. Would like to get an idea of how many of you are using HOBO data loggers or another brand of data loggers. We can go ahead and open the poll so that everyone can log their answers and we'll get an idea of what those results are. Just open this up. Here we go. Okay. The poll's open. If you could all just check off. See the percentages going up. Looks like there's a lot of HOBO users as well as users of other HOBO data loggers, not necessarily water quality. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close out the poll now. Thank you so much for your answers. Here are the answers so everyone can see. Looks like the largest percentage of you are using some type of HOBO data logger, not necessarily for water quality. The second largest percent are using our water quality data loggers, and then a mix of users of other vendors' water quality loggers or other data loggers in general. Thank you, everyone, for your answers. So just want to go over some of the common applications for groundwater monitoring. We have everything here from rivers and streams to monitoring the environmental impacts of rainfall, as well as wastewater treatment and how some of these wastewater infiltrations are impacting drinking water and water that's being used for household use as well. Another application is looking at what causes the sea level to change. What are the impacts, whether it be for global warming or the rise and decrease in sea levels, and how that impacts our land and our resources as well. Definitely see a lot of applications for estuary restoration, managing wetlands. This would usually also entail managing of fish habitats. A lot of the different parameters managed here are temperature, water level, salinity, and dissolved oxygen. Sorry, everyone, I just wanted to move a window over so we could see the presentation more clearly. Okay, another application very common for that entails water level and water quality monitoring is hydrology. We do see a lot of users need to monitor water level and flow and rainfall with regard to quantity measurements, and then of course temperature, conductivity, DO, and in some cases other nutrients as well for water quality. Dam water monitoring, we see a lot of this related to reservoirs, and again trying to manage that water flow in reservoirs, decaying organic matter, which creates a low DO bottom layer, so looking at dissolved oxygen content, as well as pH and other nutrients. Some additional examples here: residential well monitoring, soil and groundwater remediation, water consumption. This is an example of monitoring DO and conductivity to help ensure compliance with water quality standards. That has to do with agricultural runoff, road runoff, factory discharge, urban development. Another quick poll question: what is your application for water level monitoring, if you have one? Understand that not everyone here may, but actually, I'm so sorry. I don't know that we actually do have that in the poll. So I'm going to move ahead. I'm sorry about that. HOBO water level monitoring solutions. This is an example of all the water level monitoring solutions that we have. And that entails a range of independent standalone data loggers. Then we also have a remote water level monitoring system using our RX3000, which can also be used for weather stations, as well as a Bluetooth water level data logger that will send data wirelessly to a mobile device within a 100-foot range. We'll get into more detail about each of these as we go forward in the presentation. The MX2001 Bluetooth water level data logger. This has been available for almost 2 years now. It's been a really successful offering. We have a lot of users that have implemented this logger and absolutely love it. Couple features of the logger: fast and easy wireless data offload using your iOS or Android mobile device. So this negates the need to actually remove a well cap, actually take a logger out of its well or out of its deployment if it's mounted some other way, and having to connect that to a data shuttle to offload the data. Eliminates that whole process, saving a ton of time. It uses Bluetooth low energy communication, also known as BLE, that is built into most of today's mobile devices. So again, there's no cables that you need to connect, no buttons to push. It's just a simple, fast and easy wireless transmission. Also able to provide direct water level readouts, so there's no need to post-process that data, having barometric pressure compensation in the calculation. This is just going to give you a tour of the MX2001 and the parts or components of the logger. You have the user replaceable batteries, which is a nice new feature. Many of you that have used our standalone water level or water quality loggers in the past know that they do have factory replaceable batteries, so this poses a real nice convenience. Also have an integrated barometric pressure sensor. So in this logger portion, which is the longer piece you see in the picture, you have the user replaceable batteries, the barometric pressure sensor, as well as that Bluetooth communication chip, so to speak. This part of the logger will be deployed above water. So again, barometric pressure is built in, no need to have another source of barometric pressure for a compensation calculation. Mounting eyelet. So again, just like all of our other loggers have, you have the ability to deploy using a stainless steel cable or mount it with some other kind of industrial type of cable. The sensor part or the transducer is available with stainless steel or titanium nose cones. So you have the option to use in fresh or salt water. Durable ceramic sensor, tried and true, definitely. interchangeable direct read cables. So the direct read cable is the cable which connects the transducer to the logger, and that is available in pretty much any length you might need, from essentially from like 0.3 meters up to 300 meters. So again, this will work for a vast array of application requirements. Kevlar reinforced cable, which really helps with the suspension and protection of the cable as well. Bluetooth Low Energy, just to kind of show an illustration of how this would work between the communication between the logger and transducer and the user's mobile device. That picture in the front shows you an example of how this logger would be deployed in a stilling well. We do offer the well cap you see pictured there, but obviously people have created their own well caps as well, depending on the size of that stilling well. Ours are made for a standard 2-inch diameter well. The well cap will secure the logger in place, and then you have the transducer connected by the direct read cable, which would be mounted in the water. Bluetooth Low Energy is also known as Bluetooth Smart. The mobile device can initiate the communication. You don't need to push a button to make it connect. It will just recognize the loggers once you come within the range of communication, and that's typically within around 100 feet of the logger. Low current, so this helps enable the 1-year battery life. We have had some users that have had battery life exceed 1 year. Again, compatible with iOS and Android mobile devices that have Bluetooth 4.0 or both BLE and classic Bluetooth. As I mentioned, the transmission range is approximately 30 meters or 100 feet line of sight. Memory is 256 kilobytes, which equals approximately 30,000 measurements. And again, battery life is 1 year, typical, 2 standard alkaline AA batteries, user replaceable. 2.54 centimeters in diameter, which is around 1 inch, and that's for both the logger and the transducer. And then I mentioned the well cap, which definitely helps make the deployment that much easier and secure the logger in place. Just to touch upon the HOBO mobile app, this is a free download from our website. It runs on a range of iOS and Android devices, and you see the exact versions listed here using Bluetooth 4.0. It's a free download from the App Store or Google Play. We'll get into that a little bit more. Again, just to summarize advantages of a direct readout logger, there are some applications where you don't want to remove the data loggers from a well or other type of deployment just to offload the data. Saves time because you don't have to pull up those loggers, and especially when they're mounted in deep wells or in applications where you have many wells and many loggers deployed. There may be other instruments or pumps in the well, so cables can get tangled up when they're being retrieved. You also want to be aware of contaminants in the well. If you're pulling up the logger, that would expose it to other contaminants. Expose the user to those contaminants, and also avoids introducing contaminants into the well from out of the well if you have removed the logger to offload. Just a summary of the MX 2001 compliance status and our certifications. Again, this logger is definitely used throughout the globe. And next, I want to get into the remote monitoring, water level monitoring system. So many of our customers in the past had used either our U30 remote monitoring systems, which preceded the more recent RX3000 remote monitoring system, with a third-party analog water level sensor or an analog pressure transducer. A popular one was the KPSI transducer from Measurement Specialties. Another very common one that had been used by customers is the Stevens SDX transducer. In the past 6 months or so, we have secured a partnership with Stevens so that we can now resell the SDX transducer as well as the desiccants. Basically, have a range of different models available. So this now enables one-stop shopping for the customer in terms of configuration, ordering, and support. This has been huge for us. A lot of customers have chosen to use the remote water level monitoring system alone for remote water level monitoring, or even adding the SDX pressure transducer to a full weather station using the remote, the RX3000 remote monitoring system. Are any of you using the RX3000 remote monitoring system? And this is one that I know we do have set up. So I'm going to launch this poll right now. If everyone could just respond yes or no, whether you are using the RX3000. Okay, it looks like a good 80% of the attendees have voted. I'm going to share the results. So very interesting, around 8% of you are using the RX3000 remote monitoring system. So thank you very much for that. Just want to give you a snapshot of the HOBOlink cloud interface. HOBOlink is the service cloud which supports the RX3000. So when you're using the RX3000, it's configured to leverage an existing Wi-Fi, Ethernet, or cellular data network. And it uses that network or that service to push the data out to our HOBOlink service cloud. And that's where the user can get to the data anywhere, anytime that you have a web browser. HOBOlink is somewhat similar to HOBOware and HOBOmobile in terms of features and the graphs and analysis that you can create. Also has the similar export capabilities if you need to export data in .csv or Excel so that you can perform some post-processing and analysis of that data outside of HOBOlink. And there also is now integration where if you have our Bluetooth data loggers, the MX series of data loggers using HOBOmobile, you can configure HOBOmobile to push data out to HOBOlink so that even though you have to be within 100 feet of the Bluetooth loggers to get the data in HOBOmobile, you can then do some post-processing and analysis of that data via the cloud from your office or your home at a later time. So a lot of folks have a mix of the RX3000 and MX loggers, and ultimately they can administer that data in HOBOlink. Just want to give you a little bit of information about the Stevens water level sensor. Again, I do want to reiterate that the RX3000 with an analog module will support other brand of analog pressure transducers as well, should you have one already of another brand or just for whatever reason want to use a different brand. But Stevens has definitely proven to work very well with the RX3000. We've had a lot of happy customers using this sensor, and the partnership has really solidified. Rugged housing, just like all of our own proprietary data loggers and sensors, fully potted electronics, so it's not going to be damaged in freezing water. A nice compact size. So this transducer is actually really good for some of those smaller stilling wells. Typical accuracy, very high, plus or minus 0.1%. It does have an analog output again, so the RX3000 would be configured with our analog module to support this sensor. Vented cable, so you're going to get that compensated data for barometric pressure already. No external source of barometric pressure required. Weighted copper nose cone, and again, compatible with RX3000 and the analog module. This is just a picture to kind of help you envision how the SDX sensor would be mounted or deployed in a well. So if you follow that cable off over to the left, that's where it would be connected into the analog module on the RX3000. And then looking down in the well, you can see where the water table is, or excuse me, the ground level, the water level, and then where the transducer would typically be mounted. So with the RX3000 and the SDX sensor for remote water level monitoring, you need not only the SDX sensor, which is available in a range of different depth models as well as cable lengths. You also will need a desiccant cartridge, and we sell that as well. In fact, Stephen has custom designed a cartridge that was made to fit the RX3000 in particular. So again, very custom solution. And then again, as I mentioned before, the analog module. We do suggest in some cases if you are using other smart sensors from Onset or other analog sensors and you have a full RX3000, it may make more practical sense to use an SADAPT 6 box, which would help to consolidate sensors and basically make them more accessible in terms of removing them and putting them into the RX3000, and also keep the wires from getting all tangled up with each other. This is an example of some of the kind of prefab remote water level monitoring kits that we have. If you need to monitor rainfall in addition to water level, which is a very common application requirement, we have a prefab kit ready to go. If you need to get rainfall and wind speed and direction, which is another pretty common combination of components for the ground level station, we have a kit that will accommodate that as well. Now, that said, even though we offer these custom kits, you can put together any type of configuration you need using the RX3000 and the SDX sensor for water level, in addition to other analog sensors from third parties and or other smart sensors from Onset for environmental parameters. Again, we can custom configure any type of system you might need based on your application's requirements. And we have application specialists in place to help you do that. We're here on the phones pretty much 8 to 8 Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, in terms of assistance for pre-sales support. Just wanted to also point out a few resources to get more information about remote water level monitoring. If you go out to our website and click on this link, I'm not sure if I'll be able, no, it's not letting me get there today. Sorry. I was hoping to show you, but if you follow that link and go to our website, you can see live HOBOlink data feeds, as well as a link to a live data feed from a remote water level monitoring system using the RX3000 and SDX. There's also a training video. And then you can also get links. There's also links to product web pages where you can view specifications, documentation, including user guides, and then in resources such as additional training videos, webcasts, and other types of support resources. And again, this presentation will be made available to everyone, so if it's easier to wait and just have the presentation so you can click on these links, that's perfectly fine. I just wanted to go back to our U20 and U20L series of standalone water level data loggers. Onset offers a myriad of different HOBO data loggers for all kinds of applications, ranging from water quality and environmental research over to building performance, and even we now have a cold chain division. But at the end of the day, water level and water temp from an environmental standpoint are probably our most popular two series of loggers. The part of the water level series that has been around for many years and are totally tried and true are the U20 and the U20L. The U20 is available in stainless steel or titanium housings, whether you have a fresh or salt water application. And the U20L is housed in polypropylene. Therefore, it's a little bit less expensive to manufacture, and we can offer it for a lower price to the customer. Some of the differences include a slight difference in accuracy. The U20 is going to give you the absolute highest accuracy, but I think that the percent difference is almost negligible for most applications. The U20L in the polypropylene is about a ½ inch bigger in diameter as well. So if you need to have something as small as possible, depending on the size of the well, then the U20 may be a better fit. And while polypropylene will definitely withstand salt or brackish water conditions, if you're doing a very long-term deployment in high salinity or a highly brackish environment, it's always best to play it safe with the titanium housing of the U20 Ti. Just some more information about the U20 and U20L standalone water level loggers. I didn't mention yet that these loggers require a data shuttle or a base station, which is an optic to USB communication device, to retrieve the data from the logger and get it into the software for analysis. The data shuttle is waterproof and it has onboard memory, so it can be used alone as a handheld device, which is really easy for field offloads. The base station is a little bit less expensive because it doesn't have that onboard memory, so it does require a computer connection when you're downloading. Again, with the data shuttle, you pay a little bit more, but you can leave your computer behind, and it's much more practical if you have several loggers you need to offload in the field, or if you're going to a very remote location that may be a little bit hard to reach, and you want to just have a data shuttle in your pocket instead of lugging a computer with you. Both of them are supported by the HOBOware Pro software, which includes a water level data assistant. These loggers do require another source of barometric pressure, and that can be provided by using another U20 or U20L deployed in the air to take that air pressure reading, or you can use a source of barometric pressure from either a nearby airport meteorological station or a local weather station. So definitely a lot of flexibility. This is the snapshot comparison of the U20L and U20, just to reiterate some of the comparative features. Now we'll get into our water quality data loggers. So in addition to the water level monitoring solutions, we also offer some various water quality data loggers for water temperature, temperature and light, conductivity and salinity, dissolved oxygen, and would like to also note that the water level loggers I just spoke about, in addition to our conductivity, salinity loggers, and our dissolved oxygen data logger, all also monitor temperature. Should you not need any of those other parameters and you need to do temperature only, we offer a wide array of options for temperature only as well. So very exciting news for Onset. A few months ago, we released the Bluetooth version of our classic tidbit and pendant data loggers for water temperature. So we'll get into a little more detail about this, but now we offer two different models of the tidbit in a Bluetooth version, and we've also taken both models of the pendant and made them into Bluetooth models as well. It shows you a little bit about the parts and components, using the tidbit as an example. Use a replaceable battery as well, whereas the previous tidbit would have a 5-year battery, and after that it was just disposable. We do still offer that tidbit, so for applications where Bluetooth isn't an option, that's certainly still available. The best thing about these Bluetooth temperature data loggers is that the pricing is pretty much the same as the prices of our original water temp data loggers. In fact, in the case of the tidbit for the 400 depth, it's actually a few dollars less expensive than the original tidbit. And now we have, as you can see, a second version of the tidbit for very deep water applications down to 5,000 feet. We talked a little bit about the Bluetooth low energy advantage when I referenced HOBO Mobile earlier in talking about the Bluetooth water level data logger. But again, this gets into all the conveniences of wireless communication. I did also mention that HOBO Mobile can be configured to push data out to the HOBOlink service cloud. There's also burst mode and other new features as well with the MX2200 series. These are the two Bluetooth models of the pendant. Also want to mention here that the Templite version of, the Bluetooth version of the Templite pendant has a little bit higher quality sensor than the original Templite pendant that's not Bluetooth. The sensor here is kind of more in line with the wavelengths of a PAR sensor as opposed to solar radiation. So you're going to get a little bit more of like a higher accuracy and resolution with this sensor. Again, using Bluetooth low energy communication, they're very rugged. These pendants are in a nice, rugged, durable housing. User replaceable batteries, more memory, now 96K memory. And again, very low cost, similar to the original pendants as well. Here are some key features of the new Bluetooth tidbits. As I mentioned, we have one that's rated for down to 400 and another that's rated for down to 5,000 feet. Another feature that customers love about these new tidbits is the water detect feature to save on the Bluetooth power, so that it won't be broadcasting if there is no water present and you don't need to be logging. And I know this is a repeat photo, but I just wanted to show it again because now we're talking about the Bluetooth temperature data loggers as opposed to the Bluetooth water level data logger, just to kind of reiterate the features of the HOBO mobile app and how convenient it is and easy to use. Also now want to get into some of the general advantages of the HOBO water quality data loggers. We're going to get into our original still existing DO and conductivity salinity data loggers now, as well as temperature data loggers. These are the non-Bluetooth models, so these do still require an optic to USB interface to retrieve the data from the loggers, but they are very, very rugged design. They're extremely durable for even the most tumultuous environments. They are reusable. They have a 1 to 6 year battery life depending on the model, and we do offer a factory battery replacement service for batteries to be replaced on these. Again, the HOBOware software is very intuitive, and they are supported by a waterproof data shuttle or a base station. Just also want to note the data shuttle is completely waterproof. The base station is water resistant. So if you want to be able to submerge the shuttle in the water and just couple it up to the loggers, or take the loggers out of the water while they're soaking wet and connect them to the shuttle, you can do that. A base station would require you to remove the loggers from the water and dry them off. I mean, there is going to be somewhat water resistant if there's rainfall or something, but again, the base station is not completely waterproof like the shuttle. This shows you all of our, again, standalone water temperature data loggers. So this does not include, this kind of summary does not include the Bluetooth models I just showed you. This shows the original temp light pendant. It looks like the photo is missing of the temp only pendant, which would be the first column. So I apologize about that. Not sure how that happened. And then the Water Temp Pro, or the U22 as it's also known, which is a very popular logger. That one has some of the best accuracy of all of our water temperature data loggers. And of course the Tidbit, which is again a very popular, very durable logger that can be used to deeper depths, and also is disposable after a 5-year battery is completely has died. And then the other two that probably aren't as well known that we offer are the U12 stainless steel temperature data logger and the U12015 stainless steel temperature data logger for deep ocean deployments. Again, required data shuttle and HOBOware. We have a free version of HOBOware that will be compatible if you're using a base station and it's just water temperature. If you're using the data shuttle, that does require the HOBOware Pro version to support it. And this shows you a little kind of illustration of how it's coupled up to the logger and connected into your computer if you're using the base station. Now the data shuttle can also be used the same way as a base station, but it has that additional functionality to be able to do the handheld offload without needing a computer connection. Shows you a little more detail about the waterproof data shuttle, how easy it is to use. It's basically one button push for offload, and then you can relaunch the logger right then and there. It's waterproof down to 20 meters. And you can get a year or more from a single battery, which is also user replaceable. You can offload up to 63 loggers with one shuttle before the memory will fill on that shuttle and you need to offload it. Just going to touch now upon our conductivity salinity data loggers. We have two models. One is available, one for saltwater and one for freshwater. These are really, really durable housing using Delrin. Non-contact sensor for a long longevity, easy to clean. There's two models, as I mentioned, but both are $750. And it has an optical interface for that high-speed data offload in wet environments. Also supported by the data shuttle or the base station. I wanted to also just show you a screenshot from the HOBOware Conductivity Assistant. This is the data assistant in HOBOware Pro that would be used to process the conductivity salinity data. Shows you the scale that it uses to calculate salinity and how it calculates specific conductance. And here we have our dissolved oxygen data logger. This records just as the conductivity salinity logger. It also records temperature. And the DO Data Assistant in HOBOware Pro is used so that you can get salinity adjusted DO concentration and or DO percent saturation. The logger uses RDO basic sensor technology with an optical DO sensor. Does have a 6-month sensor cap that we strongly recommend is replaced every 6 months or so. Just give you an example of the accuracy. Stores up to 21,700 DO and temperature combined measurements. And once again, that optic to USB interface using a data shuttle or base station. Durable Delrin and PVC housing and CE compliant. I do want to mention here, those of you that may be using our dissolved oxygen logger are probably already aware. This logger retails at list price at $1,250, which is actually the most expensive of our standalone water quality data loggers. But relatively speaking, what we've found in the marketplace, it's actually one of the less expensive DO loggers for comparable features and capabilities. So definitely just important to note that as well. And here's a screenshot of part of the DO Data Assistant in HOBOware Pro. You can see how you're being able to adjust for salinity and or specific conductance. Just add in the required values and the different respective fields provided. Just a few little points for reference. Use field calibration to adjust for special conditions or to compensate for fouling as well. And we have a tech support team as well as sales application specialists who can walk you through a lot of these different steps in the process for doing that field calibration. Sales would really be for product and application info. Tech support is really in place to support customers who are already using our products and have questions about the operation of our data loggers or sensors. It's just a snapshot of some advantages of the RDO basic technology. Long-lasting accuracy, you have 6 months for the calibration. Minimal maintenance, again, we do recommend that you check it maybe within a few times over the first few weeks or month or so of the deployment, just to see if and how quickly fouling might be occurring, and then you can kind of plan your servicing schedule based on that. And again, the sensor caps are replaced after 6 months. Very rugged performance. This is an extremely durable housing that this logger is manufactured in. I forgot to mention patented signal processing. So in summary, we covered a lot of different instruments here, but just want to reiterate the HOBO brand. When customers sometimes ask me, what is it about HOBO that makes you guys, a good solution? And I always say, our loggers aren't fancy. They provide high accuracy for a low cost, a very durable design for the most extreme environments, and they are super easy to configure, deploy, and manage. I was recently at the Ocean Sciences show, and I saw a lot of really, really futuristic, sophisticated instruments that were really cool looking and probably cost a lot of money, not only to buy, but to maintain. I went back to our booth and I looked at our data loggers, and they're very simple, but they're extremely good performing data loggers, and again, some of the lowest cost data loggers on the market for comparable technology, if not the lowest cost for comparable technology. And want to just recap again the flexible applications and types of loggers. So we have the original standalone data loggers that use optical technology and are offloaded via optic to USB interface and supported by the HOBOware software. We have the Bluetooth data loggers for both water level and water temp now, and those are supported by HOBO Mobile. Those enable wireless data transmission within 100 feet. And then we have the remote monitoring system using the RX3000. You can do water level with the SDX transducer or an array of different types of measurements. We have a lot of customers using the RX3000 with third-party conductivity, turbidity, and DO sensors from other manufacturers as well. And that particular system is supported by the HOBOlink service cloud. Again, we will email a link to the recording for this webinar to everyone who's registered. And then you'll also want a note here that for attending today's webinar, if you need to place any orders by March 30th, we will grant a 10% discount. You just have to basically tell us that you attended the webinar today, and we'll verify that and apply the discount to any purchases you need to make. If you have any questions or additional needs after this webinar, please do not hesitate to contact me. My direct number is 508-743-3199, and my email is located there as well. So I think we have a few minutes here, and I wanted to just try and address some questions. Only 1 second here. I just want to adjust something on my screen so I can see the time. Oh, good. We do have time for questions. Let me see. Loggers use a remote device or are they only Bluetooth compatible? So we have a question, do these loggers use a remote device or are they only Bluetooth compatible? I'm not sure which one that's referring to, if the question refers to the MX 2001 or the RX 3000 remote monitoring systems, but the Bluetooth water level and water temp data loggers use Bluetooth technology to communicate data to a mobile device, and that currently would have to be an iOS or Android device. That data, once it's in HOBO Mobile, can be pushed out to the HOBOlink service cloud. So they are not specifically directly using a remote device, but we do also have the RX 3000 remote monitoring system that I talked about as well. I have a question, can I monitor quality of waters within 300-meter water well at different depths? I definitely would want to follow up on this one directly. So the new tidbit will go down to 5,000 feet, but I'm not sure. I'd have to do the equation for the 300 meters, but I think we would have a solution being either our deep ocean U12 or possibly that Bluetooth tidbit, which is rated down to 5,000 feet. So please, you have my contact information, and we will also be following up directly to get more clarification for you on that question. Yes, the Stevens sensor is a 4 to 20 milliamp natively in terms of output. So there's a question here, does the Stevens sensor output use 4 to 20 milliamps? And the answer to that is yes. What range do the Stevens loggers come in? Let me see if I can get out to the internet and show it'd be great to show everyone the list of different models in terms of the depth calibration as well as cable lengths available. This might also be a good exercise to kind of show some of you how to access information on our website. So hopefully you can all see this. I'm going out to the RX 3000 web page. I'm going to go down to build your station. So we have a configuration menu right here online. I'm going to jump ahead to the sensors here just so I can scroll down and show you the different options for the Stevens SDX transducer. So we have everything. We have a range from 5 feet up to 50 feet, and there are models that are available for more than 50-foot range. We can source those for you from Stevens. We just don't have them stocked and I guess itemized on our website. These are the more common ones that we see a need for, and then the cables range from 10 feet all the way up to 100 feet of cable as well. And you can see the different prices for those various models. And if you click on this box down here, you can see the analog module as well as a desiccant cartridge. Cost to replace the sensor cap on the DO logger. Very good question, and I should have that memorized. Let me just go ahead and get out to the page so we can confirm that. Replacement sensor caps are $85 per unit. That's list price. And you also will see here, we offer an anti-fouling protective guard for the U26. This is a very, very helpful item to have if you're deploying in high saline or brackish environments. It has the copper windings around it. It really does help to protect that sensor. And again, that's $95 list price. I have a question here. Will you be sending viewers a certificate of attendance to satisfy our HR departments? That's a very good question and one that I've never been asked before during any of our webinars. However, if it's something you'd like us to provide, I'm happy to look into whether we can do that. If you want to contact me after this directly, or again, we will be following up on all the questions over the next few days. There's a question here about U20Ls being deployed for barometric pressure correction, having trouble when air temps drop to -10 or -15 C. That's something I think I'd want to get into a little bit more detail with tech support. So again, the person who asked that question, if you could reach out to me directly, I will definitely facilitate that process. I just would have to get a little more detail in order to properly answer that question. And I think tech support may even have some good advice to provide there as well. So I have a question. We own vibrating wire sensors, but are interested in switching to the MX2001. Is there a module available in the RX3000 to collect this data? I'm not sure I understand this question, but I do want to just clarify that the MX2001 is not compatible with the RX3000. The MX2001 is a Bluetooth water level data logger. The RX3000 is a completely separate remote monitoring system, which would support an analog pressure transducer like the Stevens SDX transducer or the KPSI transducer for measurement specialties, or a vast array of other analog and or pulse sensors from different manufacturers. So there's a question here about after a logger is installed, how often do the instruments have to be recalibrated if that's necessary? So typically our instruments do not require ongoing or frequent recalibration. What we usually recommend is if you're having some problems with accuracy, if you think that the accuracy is outside of the specified range that we publish for the logger you're using, or you're starting to see drift and it's pretty early in the deployment, and or you haven't had the logger for a long time, please contact our technical support department. Tech support is available from 8 to 8 Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, via email, toll-free phone, or live chat, and they are phenomenal. It's a free service included with all of our products. So if you own one HOBO pendant, you have access to tech support just as someone who might have 50 of our weather stations. It's, I want to make sure that, first of all, that's clear. In terms of if recalibration is required, that's a service that we can perform for you. But again, depending on the factors around the drift or whatever variance you might be seeing, we'd want to make sure that you go through tech support and have them troubleshoot, because most likely, or I should say in most cases, it's something that has to do with the configuration or a setting that can easily be changed, and then the logger will work as specified. So do not hesitate to contact tech support. And I think sometimes because we do not charge for technical support service, customers just aren't even aware that we offer it, but it is a free service and we have a lot of really talented technicians to help customers. We question here, do you have soil moisture data loggers for irrigated agricultural uses? We absolutely do a lot of soil moisture monitoring. The way we do it today is we offer soil moisture sensors. One is designed for a smaller area of influence, which is less than 1 liter, and the other is designed for larger area of influence, which is 1 liter or more. Those sensors are smart sensors, which connect directly into the RX3000 remote monitoring system. They are also compatible with our manual weather station data loggers. And for manual weather station data loggers, we offer the U30 NRC. Data can be retrieved from the U30 using a handheld shuttle, which is a different model from the one I showed you for our water quality loggers, but works very similarly. Or it can be downloaded using a USB cable connection to your laptop. The microstation is also a weatherproof data logger that weather stations can be built upon, and that runs on 4 AA user replaceable batteries, and that does require a USB cable connection for download. But the soil moisture sensors are supported by any of those 3 data loggers. They can be used alone or in addition to a wide array of other environmental sensors as well. No calibration needed for the Tidbit version 2. I'm assuming that's referring to the original Tidbit, not the Bluetooth one, but either way, you should not need to recalibrate that on an ongoing basis. And if you're seeing any significant drift in the data accuracy, please contact technical support and have them troubleshoot. We do have, a 1-year repair or replace warranty if there's a defect identified, even if it's outside of that first year. If the drift is, substantial enough and there's no viable explanation, then we'll certainly work with you to make sure that, you have a logger that's working as it should. If you have a vented well cap, do I still need to use a separate U20 water level logger for the barometric pressure conversion? Because the U20 is a non-vented logger, I believe you would still need that external source. And funny, I've never been asked that question, and it's a good one, but I believe you would still need another logger or that barometric pressure data from a local weather station or airport meteorological station. Those are all the questions I have right now in the console here. And I know we're coming up near the 3 o'clock end time. I do have a list of questions that were submitted prior to the webinar, and I will be following up on those individually with each of the folks who proposed them. I was hoping to have a chance to do that before the webinar. It's just been a very busy end of the month for us, so I do apologize. But you will be hearing from me over the next day or two. And again, I just want to get back to the presentation and make sure that everyone has my contact details just in case they do have any follow-up questions or ongoing needs and require more information. We have a whole team of application specialists here to help you, so if for some reason I'm out of the office for an extended period of time, there will always be a reference to someone else that can help you, and I'm generally here from around 8 to 5 Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. I want to thank you everyone for attending, and please, again, if I did miss a particular question, call me, email me, or await our call within the next couple of days. And thank you.